This is the RPM Podcast, starring Eric Brennan,
Give me all your balloons.
Sam Ballard Jr.,
I'm not normally a praying man, but if you're up there, please save me, Superman.
Neil Rutt III, Nick Rendo,
Typical of Italian cars. They wait until you really need them, and then they go wrong.
and Josh Matthews.
All BMWs are driven by people who are psychologically unfit to drive anything more powerful than an electric razor.
And here we are again, the RPM Podcast, episode number 127.
Yeah.
And it is Tuesday night at 9:13 p.m., February 26, 2019. It's our first show back since our live broadcast over at the River Rock for the Daytona 500 party. How you doing, Josh?
I'm somehow hanging in there.
Yeah.
How about
so
you?
everybody knows, Josh just got the stuff unpacked from the River Rock show and all set back up. And my brother Tim's over in his little studio. How you doing, Tim?
Good, I'm ready to go.
All right, good. I just want to touch base on the River Rock show. I think it went really well. I mean, it was good. It was good having the show there. We had a lot of great guests on. If you haven't listened to it, please go on YouTube or Stitcher and check it out. And I want to thank the people that did view it on YouTube and Stitcher, because we got quite a few reviews on that. That one's doing well. We had some great guests on that. I want to thank Lee Allen for coming on, Tim Majak. Darren Burge came on for a little while, and we finally got Jimmy Blewett on. It was great having Jimmy Blewett on. He told some great stories, and you can really see his enthusiasm and the reason why he likes winning so much and how active he is. So it's a great show. So if you haven't listened to it yet, go back and listen to it. We want to thank Jeff Lane for having us there. We want to thank the River Rock for having us there. It's becoming an annual thing, and it's always a great time.
Yeah, honestly, it was a lot of fun, and I was doing a lot of actively mixing and production work at the time, and I had another nightmare issue where the camera memory ran out, so I had to go with different audio, which wasn't quite as good, but we still got it put together and posted for everybody. And there were some questions that I actually had planned on asking both you, Scott, and Jimmy. But that was planned for, him being in the studio, and, this all kind of came together last minute. And one of those questions, and I'm just going to go ahead, I know we got to get to the wrapping up the 500, we got to get to Atlanta and all that. But, Scott, let me just ask you so I can get this off of my page here. What if you weren't champions or never won racing or any races? Like, how important is winning to you?
I mean, when you win, man, it's like you're walking on air, man. When you go across that finish line first, winning never gets old. When you cross that finish line first, it's like walking on air. It's like, wow, just like it's like a weight off your shoulders. And I think Dale Earnhardt even said it once: winning cures everything. I mean, you can be having problems all week long and money problems and race car problems and life problems. You win that race, everything's good for a little while. But it is kind of weird, too. Everything's good on Saturday night, everything's good, or Sunday, everything's good. Guess what? Monday, you're back to work anyway. So it really doesn't matter if you win, lose, or draw. But no, I mean, I really love racing. I love winning. But I mean, I raced in the modified division where I had slim chance to none of winning. And if I can get close to a top 5 or a top 5, that was a win for me. I even had fun racing that way, too. I just love the race. I mean, the wins are great, but they're great when they come. But if they don't come, just enjoy what you are doing, But I mean, Jimmy's all in. He races to win no matter what,
Yeah. Well, no, I mean, because I've watched you race. I can't even tell you how many enduros over the years, and I mean, granted, a number of them you had the field covered by 2 laps, but other times, I mean, you were just out there having a good time. It looked like.
Yeah.
So now I will say to segue into Atlanta, Scott, you said that.
Before we leave that, I also want to thank Eric Graham for coming on for the broadcast with us at River Rock. A lot of people don't know, but Eric Graham's the founder of this show. He's the one that started all this.
Yeah.
And he has veered away from us a little bit, but he did come back. He did a great job. I'd love to have him on more often, but he's got a good job now where he gets up real early in the morning and doesn't really have much time to do it. But he did a great job with us. I enjoyed having him on the show with us.
He has a lot of good input. Go ahead, Tim.
Did you get any feedback from Jeff Lane or the River Rock? Were they happy with the crowd?
Jeff.
Yeah, definitely. I saw Jeff Lane today at work. You know, I do towing for Barney's, and Jeff's the head mechanic over there at Barney's Service Center. And he said Maria, the bar manager, was really, really happy. It's a great turnout. It gets bigger and bigger every year. Um, he's already talking about, I think he said May 28th or something like that, Talladega,
Yeah.
or August 28th or something like that. I forget what it was. But we are going to be back there with a live broadcast when they race at Talladega, and they're looking forward to that. So, you know, Jeff was real, real happy, and it really helps him with his sponsorship program for his Wall Stadium Sportsman car with his son, Eric. River Rock sponsors them, so he was very thankful that we all came. He was glad everybody had a great time. I mean, the race drug on though, man. It felt like we were there for 2 days over there, didn't it? It's like got there.
Well, when you got down to the last like 50 laps, it was like, oh, just come on. It could have been over, but you know what? I'm sure it
never ended. So I mean, that's another reason the bar did so well, because people just kept eating and drinking. They were there until 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and people got there at noon. So I mean, they definitely made their money, and good. You know, it shows that the racing community does come together, and they know River Rock sponsors a race team at Wall Stadium, and the people came to support it, and it was great. And it's getting bigger every year. It's so much fun, man. If you've never been to it, come next year or come to the Talladega race when we're there. It's just a good time.
Yeah,
there was more people there than I expected to be there. It was pretty much standing room only there for a while. It was good.
I was lucky. My dad had gotten a seat at one of the back corner bars. And he kind of was able to save a little space for me. So later on, after I got through all of the, breaking down of the equipment and, all the meet and greet stuff, I was able to go and sit down and have a couple beers with my dad, I had a really nice time. And,
yeah, I seen your dad was also a big winner at that show. I seen him walking away with a brand new crock pot.
What? What?
He won a crock pot.
No, he didn't.
Yeah, he did. It was behind the bar. Did he bring it home or did he forget it?
I don't think he won that.
Because the bartender came and got it, and I said, well, "Did you win?" She's like, "No, the guy at the end of the bar." And she pointed right at your dad, and the crock pot was sitting like where he was sitting at the bar. It was across.
There was one seat on or past him. Maybe she meant that because it wasn't him.
Really? He didn't go home with that shiny brand new crock pot?
I'll bet you he wishes he does. He loves a good crock pot meal, and so do I.
He might be holding out on you, Josh. He might have won it and not told you.
Well, I didn't see him walk away with it, but yeah, maybe. But honestly, I can't thank the River Rock enough for having us. It's a lot of fun. It's a bit setting up. It is, but at the same time, we got it all to work. We were able to have Eric Brennan from North Carolina live hosting a live show. I mean, it's crazy, but it worked out. I mean, I'm just really excited that it all worked and was pretty seamless, and everybody had a really great time. And like we said, everything was absolutely packed, and you were lucky to get a seat there. And
I just wanted to say that there was a couple people that wanted to get on the show. We only had so much time. I apologize to the people that we couldn't get on. But maybe next time we can get you on if you come back.
Yeah, we'll pretty much never say no to a guest. We were just constrained by time, and we did 4 guests as it was, and having Eric Graham back. Granted, he was a host, as he should be, but it was almost like having another guest, just because he hasn't been on in a while. But yeah, it was awesome all the way around, and I hope that the bar did well, and we hope that everybody else had a really great time, and we can't wait to do it again. So moving on from that, Scott, you said that Dale Earnhardt had once said, "Winning will cure anything." How about Brad Keselowski with the stomach flu?
Yeah, I mean he did a great job, and he barely even practiced on Saturday, if I remember correctly. He only did a couple laps in practice because he was so sick, and he's getting IVs and everything else. And,
yeah, I heard two IV bags of fluid and something else going on, and yeah, that's rough. I mean, I think it was Dale Jr. that once had to pee in his fire suit. Because he just couldn't hold it any longer. But I mean, you have to wonder if you have the stomach flu and you're that dehydrated, and you know what else comes along with that. did anybody catch the color of Brad's fire suit after that race?
And but he came on late in the race too to win that race. And I guess if you're going to be, I mean, it was a 500-mile race. It was a long race, but the weather wasn't bad. It wasn't real hot or cold or anything like that, so that might help them a little bit too. But like you said, I'm sure taking those IVs and everything really helped him. And they got a first-class medical staff there, so he looked like he was ready to go. And
Oh yeah,
and like you said, the car's running good. You stop thinking about that, you just think about how fast you're going. I'm sure it was a long ride home for him, and I'm sure he was drained the next day, but he powered through it and came home with the win, which was surprising too, because he wasn't up front early in the race, And everybody was talking about Harvick and Kyle Larson in the beginning, and then Brad Keselowski came out of nowhere and took over and won that race.
Yeah. And then Truex ended up being a threat for a while. I know some people were unhappy with him, saying that he was whining or whatever. I think a lot of drivers.
I want to touch base on that a little bit. We always talk about lap cars, and we always kid around how I love racing with lap cars, and it makes racing fun. To navigate through lap traffic, it is fun. Yeah. And Martin was a little angry at Ricky Stenhouse because he said he was running the preferred line, and Martin thinks it held him up a little too long where he couldn't go for the win. He thinks if Ricky would have gave him a little more room earlier and he got by Ricky sooner, he would have won that race. And Martin might have been right. But, I knew Martin when he was a kid. I worked with him at his family's race team right here in New Jersey. And Martin's not a crybaby. I think that's just more of a heat of the moment thing. I think if you talk to Martin now, he would have a different way of talking about that. They got him right out of the car, and he was mad that he didn't win. He's definitely wants to win quick over at Gibbs. He wants to prove that he's worth being over there and everything like that.
Well, he was already doing better than Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, he still had a great race. He's second was a great race for him. But then again, I don't blame Ricky Stenhouse either, because he gets paid to drive his car for his team, and he ain't worried about Martin. And imagine if he would have moved over and let Martin go by, what the people at Ford would have thought, because you got to remember Ricky was in a Ford, and so is Brad Keselowski. So, I mean, the Ford can't be like, why are you letting this Toyota just blow by you so you can catch us and beat us? You know what I'm saying? Ricky did nothing wrong either. It was just two different points of views,
Yeah, well, I could see, like you said, in the heat of the moment, he was frustrated, and I think it's okay to be frustrated because you felt like you had the car to win, and you didn't get that win.
Because once he did clear Ricky, he reeled in Brad Keselowski right away, and they were matching each other for lap times there at the end, and Martin was a little faster there at the end.
Now, at the same time, though, if you're a lap car, I mean, I was running, I think, a top 5, which for me that was really good. And I had someone, being told to take, to get low because he was getting lapped, and he, I think, saw my car and said, no, they can't mean him, and stayed and got my way, and then I got freight trained on the low side because I was getting ready to, I mean, the general rule for factories, and you'll hear is like, whatever, if you're getting lapped, you stay low, the other cars will make their way around you. That's it, right?
And I think another reason Martin said why he was so mad too is because he had his spotter go to Ricky Stenhouse's spotter and say, "Listen, tell Ricky to go high, and because I'm faster on the low side." That was Martin's preferred line, and Ricky didn't do that. He stayed right on the low line.
Yeah, I mean, but racing is racing, and Stenhouse had, as far as I'm concerned, really. I mean, if it was for position. Now, actually, that's something that we're going to get local here for a second, Scott. If two cars are battling for position, but they're about to get lapped, say you're leading the race, and me and Neil are racing for 10th, and you're about to lap us. He and I are fighting for position, so we have a right to battle it out, but we're also kind of supposed to move out of your way and not screw you, right?
It's funny you say that because there's been times I've been by two cars, and like, say if you're running 9th and Neil's running 10th, and I'm coming up on you and Neil's behind you, I've seen the 9th place guy move down to let the leaders go by, and the guy in 10th passes the 9th place car. I'm like, that's kind of a scumbag move, you know what I'm saying? But it happens, So, yeah, you got to run hard, at all times because you don't want to lose the spot. But Martin was saying what Ricky Stenhouse is that he had the lucky dog thing locked up. There was nobody around him. He was a straightaway ahead of the next car that was a lap down. He should have just gave him lane to get out of the way. But then, like I just said before, Ricky Stenhouse doesn't get paid to get out of Martin Truex' way. He gets paid to run the fastest laps as he possibly can, and that's exactly what he was doing.
I guess it just comes down.
And
to
I think it comes down to the Ford thing. I really do. Ricky Stenhouse came sitting on a Ford competition meeting on Tuesday, with knowing he got out of a Toyota's way and let the Toyota catch a Ford and beat him.
If I remember right, that's not the first time those two have had that kind of issue.
Everybody has problems with Ricky Stenhouse sooner or later.
I was rooting for him in the 500 because he was one of the. I had 2 picks in the pool at River Rock, and Stenhouse was one of my picks. So I was really hoping that he could, because at Daytona, you never know.
Yeah,
and he actually.
I had Eric Jones, and he was all banged up, and I thought I was done. And after a couple of red flags, he was right up there and got third. I almost won that pool too with Eric Jones with a banged up race car.
After a couple of red flags, I think is the takeaway from the 500.
Right.
I mean, it made for an exciting finish. I'll say that. And I actually almost felt bad. They had a band getting ready to come on, and they had to wait for the race to end.
Oh, I know. And it was like a reggae band. They walked into a race crowd. It was like they walked in there. And they're like, "Oh my God, this is the wrong crowd here."
Would you believe that?
They were cool. They set their equipment up and they watched the end of the race with everybody, and then they started playing their music.
Yeah, they were. That's the exact same band that played after us at the very last live show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I recognized the guy. They had a decent setup. They're good. I forgot their name already, but yeah, it's I've been in that situation before, waiting to set up after an event and things like that. But yeah, I felt a little bit bad for him. But I mean, that's the beauty of racing. You don't know what's going to happen, and it ended up being overall. I thought it was a pretty exciting race when I got to see of it when I wasn't tearing down equipment. Now I know
I wasn't paying much attention to the race either. I was in the shop working on my race car, but we had the TV on, and every time I would glance at it, but we were cutting and welding and grinding and everything. So I would glance over every once in a while and watch it, and then when it got down to the last 20 laps, I started paying attention to it a little bit more.
Wait, you said we? Who else was out there?
Just me and George Reynolds.
Okay.
Yeah.
Josh, I have a question for you.
Uh-oh.
Because you have the most honest opinion on this, because a lot of talk about Ryan Preece. He maybe Daytona was a fluke running in the draft. Now, he was running really well before his mishap on pit road. What do you think? Is he proven that he should be there? Did he get lucky twice in a row?
Well, all right. As much as I'm not a Priest fan,
that's why I asked you.
Yeah,
you have a biased, non-modified opinion on this.
I will say, he did own up to it. He said he was looking down at his tack, and and to be fair, the other guy did almost come to a complete stop 5 stalls ahead.
It was like a perfect storm, what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what it reminded me of too? Like, you always see accidents at yield signs. Like, because you'll look at the car in front of you, and the car in front of you is moving. So then you'll look to the left to see if traffic's coming. As you're getting on the accelerator, then when you turn your head back, the guy in front of you decided to stop, and you run in the back of him. That's what it was kind of like.
Yes.
It was kind of both their faults.
Plus, he had a car on the outside of him. He couldn't go to the outside if he wanted to.
Yeah, and that BJ McLeod should have been gone when Ryan pulled out, so he felt safe looking at his. He felt safe looking down at his tack, but BJ just stopped, and he was a good 5 spots from his pit stall. But they were saying the reason he slowed down so much is he had a flat tire, and he didn't want to rip the fender off his car. So it was like
whoa! Hang on. He slowed up with 5 pit stalls to go.
Yeah, I guess the tire was coming off the rim or something.
Yeah, he stopped.
I know, but that's a weird spot. If he wanted to go slow and not tear it apart, you think he'd go slow.
I understand that. So it's like 2 things happening, and it just reminds me when you pull up to a yield sign, you got to really watch the car in front of you. And because Ryan seen him go by, and he was pulling out, and the 52 should have kept going, and Ryan knew that, so it gave him that 1 split second to look at his tack to make sure he's not speeding. And sure enough, as soon as he looked down, the car in front of him stopped. When he looked up, he ran right in the back of him.
I mean,
is it BJ's fault that he slowed down too soon? Yeah, it is. Is it? But then again, Ryan's driving the race car, and there was a car stopped in front of him. He should have been able to see it and avoid it.
I don't like Priest, but at the same time, I don't think it was entirely his fault. Now, I mean, I could even slightly ask, well, was the spotter or somebody saying, "Hey, you got this car coming on," down the
Yeah.
pit road, and just so he'd be alert to it. And then, I mean, I would worry about ending my day first, speeding second.
But you know what's crazy? How hard he hit that guy on pit
That's
road.
what I'm getting at.
Did you see the damage to that car for a low speed wreck? He must. But there again, it's just like when you rear somebody in the street, you're hitting your brakes, so the nose of your car goes down, and then you go underneath their bumper.
Well, was it? No, I think it was a different pit stop. One of a crew guy had been hit as well. I know he wanted to walk it off, but they
it
did
might
take
have been the same one because that guy broke his leg or something like that.
Yeah. It was. Again, this is why I normally take notes, and I just was. It was hectic. Let's say that.
But another thing that made it look bad is this is the second week in a row that Rick Ware Motorsports caused a wreck, or I shouldn't say caused a wreck, but been involved in a wreck on pit road 2 weeks in a row. So that kind of makes it look bad too.
Well,
in defense for Ryan Priest's spotter, who I don't know who it is, a lot of those Cup teams that the crew chief is responsible for, like the first 10 pit stalls out of the pit box.
Okay,
so it might not have been.
Yeah, it may not have been his actual spotter, but somebody had to be spotting for him technically, or covering him over the radio at that point. And I know pit road is a mess and it's hectic, and honestly, maybe again, you're talking about these cars coming from 180 whatever miles an hour, going down to a obviously comparatively extremely low speed. But is it still too fast if we're hurting the crew guys and stuff? I don't know. I like competition cautions where,
Oh God, that would make racing even more boring.
So I don't know. From my perspective, that's all I'm saying. I like that.
Tim, do you know where Ryan Priest was running at the time? Every time I looked at TV, he was like 25th this year. So I don't know.
No, he was in the top 10.
Oh, was he really when that happened?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, great. Good for him.
Yeah, I don't know whether he's picking his noses or not, as John Keane said. I would love to blame it all on him. I was glad that he was out of the race, but I can't entirely. I almost hit the pace truck one night. I was looking out into the turn during one of our cautions, waiting, trying to figure out where the track crew was so I wouldn't run anybody over. Meanwhile, some idiot driving the pace truck stops on the backstretch, and I locked him up and almost hit him.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. I mean, there's times under caution when I'm, lift my helmet up just a little bit to take a sip of water, and at that split second, the guy in front of me decides to stop.
Mm-hmm.
It shows you got to pay attention all the time. And Ryan's new to this pit stop stuff. He'll get used to it. He learned the lesson. And like you said, he admitted it, but then again, he kind of had to admit he had an in-car camera. You could see it right on camera, him looking right at the tack.
Yeah, you could see that it was tilted down.
Yeah.
Now, I will say this actually just goes to or adds to the whole argument, and we can tie it into that whole Tony Stewart incident with Ward. It's hard to see out of these cars. It's harder than you'd think. I mean, you're designed to be able to see well, but at the same time, it's not that good of a view. I mean, it's the best view in the world.
You also got to remember, too, under caution, like Scott said, a split second while he's going around the track. Not so much when they're coming off a pit road, but like what Ryan did, but like Scott said, when you're on the track under the yellow, you got the crew chief talking, you got, the drivers talking, the officials are talking. It's hard to get communication a lot of times at a split second like that during a caution flag.
Oh, there's so much going on. I don't know how. I mean, we're all used to the radio chatter there, and the same happens in IndyCar. Now in IndyCar and Formula One, you can talk about unsafe releases where they're supposed to almost time it, and like, no, if there's a car there, you're about to cut somebody off. Where in NASCAR, it's if you cut them off and they have to slow up a little bit, that's part of racing, and you can gain that spot. But in the open wheel guys, like, no. If you get too close, they will actually penalize you for it.
And another thing, Tim just says sometimes the crew chief calls him out of the pit road. I also heard on the radio too, people, not only are they calling you out of the pit spot, they're reminding you your RPM and to look at your tack. You know what I'm saying? So it could have been right when the guy said, 4,500, and Ryan might have looked at his tack to see what he was tacking, and that's when he ran in the back of the guy,
Yeah,
it's a shame it happens. It's only his second race in Cup. He'll learn from that and move on. He's going to run very well at Vegas.
While we take a nap.
Well, one cool thing about Vegas, do you see the K&N cars are racing at the dirt track at
No, I did
Vegas?
not see that. Is that one of the
Yeah,
articles Tim shared?
Yeah, the K&N cars are actually they're racing Vegas weekend, but the twist to that is they're racing the quarter mile dirt track outside the track, so that's going to be pretty cool.
Good. I'm all
I don't
for
know if
it.
it's quarter mile, it might be 3/8 or something like that, but there is a dirt track outside the Vegas Speedway, and that's where the K&N cars are racing.
Well, speaking of
Is
local,
Fans Choice going to be there for that?
I'd assume so. Yes.
well, Tim, I think you sent the link about how Fans Choice is going to be televising what all the K&N and all the tour mod races.
Yeah, I think it was all lower NASCAR touring divisions. I think all of
Yeah.
them.
Yeah, I think all of them. I think K&N East, K&N West, the Mod Tour, and I think even like the Europe one or Canadian or Mexico or something like that ones. Yeah.
One of those ones that should be behind a wall.
That's a huge deal. I wonder what money's behind that. Who's paying for that?
Yeah, I know. It's great though. I can't wait.
think
You
the
know,
guys-
it's funny. Like I just told you before. You know, I tow for Barney's, and I was in there today. I said to Dick Barney, who owns a modified tour car that his grandson Blake drives. I said, Dick, do you think it's great that they're showing all the races on Fans Choice? He's like, well, I wish it was regular TV. I said, yeah, but Fans Choice is great. He's like, yeah, but I'm 80 years old. I don't know how to use a computer. So right away, I invited him over because he doesn't travel with the team anymore. So I invited him to my house. I think it's March 16th or something is the Myrtle Beach race. So he might be coming here to watch the modified tour race on Fans Choice TV at our house on our computer.
See, I think it's a good thing. Do you guys think NASCAR might have a hand in paying for some of that just to get themselves the exposure?
I think they have a hand in owning Fans Choice now. I think they're tied in with them somehow now because all of a sudden they went from being banned at showing all the races to broadcasting all the
Yeah,
races.
but somebody's got to be making money on it somehow for it to be
Somehow,
free.
somewhere, yeah.
Nothing's free anymore. Do you know what I mean? Somebody's paying for that.
But I
Do you
think
think we get? I know Fans Choice was free when they're at New Smyrna. Do you think it's like a pay-per-view thing, Tim, or do you think it's still going to be free for us to watch it?
Well,
think it's gonna be free.
I'm usually at like when the tour races. I'm usually at the tour races,
Yeah,
but I'm under the impression that the ones that were last year were free.
right.
I never heard anybody complaining they had to pay for it.
We'll know soon because when it is on, you'll know if there's advertisers because there'll be all sponsors all over. I mean, if we tune in and it's got Whalen Engineering, safety lights sponsor all over it, then we know who paid for the broadcast and how they're making money on it.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, I think it's great if they can advertise and make back some of of the money or financing it, then great, and it gives everyone a great access to watch local racing, and for people how everybody from New Jersey retires to Florida. All those people in Florida that can't come to Wall would be able to watch the Wall Stadium race, the Tour Mod race. But at the same time, do you think that will hurt the attendance at Wall for that Tour Mod race?
No, not really, because Wall Stadium doesn't hold a lot of people. I think Wall will still get filled up because I think if you still live close by, you're not going to sit home and watch it on fan.
Yeah,
People that are watching on Fans TV are the people that weren't going there anyway to begin
I
with.
was going to say the people that live in New Jersey will still go there. We not get that 5% from Connecticut, probably not. But
Yeah.
So a few people, or maybe the elderly, let's say, that might have trouble moving around if they are able to watch it or somebody sets it up for them, let's say.
The diehards. I mean, I see some people when I go on the tour races. I see there's a certain group of people. They're at every single race we go to.
There's modified tour race chasers that just follow the whole tour.
I think it'll be a good thing, and I think anybody that, especially because it's a tour race and modifieds are, I don't know why, but so popular. I think oh my God, a tour race is actually happening right here. I think people are going to go. I think people are just going to go.
I mean, you can spin it any way you want. You can say, all right, well, it sucks for the racetrack because no one's going to go and pay $25 or $30 to watch it when they can sit home and watch it for free on their computer. Or you can spin it to the fact where this is great because someone might sit home and watch it on their computer that never was going to go, and now they're going, wow, that was really neat. Next year, I'm going there. I'm going to go and watch that race.
I hadn't thought of that.
Yeah. I was going to say it might be bad for the track, but it's good for the sport. It gives you more exposure other places. Like there might be a guy in Ohio that watches it and say, well, hell, maybe I'll go to Loudon next year if he sees a modified race and he likes it, I think it'll help sport. It might not help every single track, but it's not going to put them out of business. I think Wall Stadium will be 3/4 full to full. Might not be Turkey Derby full, but I think it'll be full.
Okay, that's a fair point. Now I think
now Stafford and Thompson are packed every race,
right,
with the TV. So,
but that's
and another thing that helps too. Another way of looking at it too is if you do have a sponsor on your modified tour car, or looking to get more sponsorship, this really helps you sell your sponsorship because now you can advertise it as, hey, not only advertising on my race car is going to be seen to the 10,000 people sitting in the grandstands at Thompson. Now it's going to be seen by another 20 to 30,000 people sitting at home watching it on Fans Choice TV.
Well, something else I'm interested in. This was mentioned in one of the interviews that we've done, and I can't remember who it was off the top of my head, but they were talking about you have to pay if you want an onboard camera.
Oh yeah, I saw that firsthand when I worked for Martin Truex Sr. at Loudon.
Mm-hmm.
I was standing at the car, we were in like a tech line or something, and the TV broadcast came over and said, "Hey, you guys want an in-car camera?" And I was a 20-year-old kid, and I'm like, "Hell yeah, man, put that in our car. That's awesome, man. Hell yeah, we want it." So I agreed to it. I'm like, "Yeah, we want it." Well, they walk away. Big Martin comes over, the owner and the driver of the team, Martin Truex Sr. I said, "Martin, I got great news." He's like, "What's that?" I said, I just made a deal that they're going to put the in-car camera in our car. We were at Loudon,
Yeah.
I said, "How cool is that?" He's like, "Scott, they charge me to do that." And it was big money, like $2,500. Oh. I'm like, well, I just told them, yeah, they're going to get the stuff to start putting it in. So if you don't want to spend the 25, I had no idea we had to pay to have that.
That's for TV.
Yeah.
Live television. It might be different for the Fans Choice.
Yeah. But you are right, Josh. I had no idea you had to pay to have that in your car. I thought they paid us. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I get
Martin did it. Big Martin did it. He did pay for it, and we did have it in, and he ended up winning that weekend. So it was cool,
Yeah, well, maybe it's worth it then. But I don't know. Maybe I'm just too nice. Scott, I'm gonna have to start charging you for your GoPro footage.
Yeah,
that you're taking anyway.
But then I also see it from the TV side of you because we did have a seafood company sponsor us, Blount Seafood. So we, of course, went out and got some stickers, put Blount Seafood stickers on the dashboard, and you can see it. So it's like having a commercial. So then I did see it. But as a kid growing up, I thought you always made money by having that camera in your car. I didn't know you had to pay for it.
I thought they just agreed to it and be like, yeah.
Yeah, like it's a wash, You'll get advertising and we'll get a good shot, I didn't know you had to pay for it. Plus, back in those days, cameras were huge, so we were putting weight in the car. You know what I'm saying? So.
I'm just picturing the on-the-shoulder VHS camera.
It was big. I mean, we were on one time with Robbie Gordon. He had that road course race one, and the camera burned up his car. Remember that? And he had to come down pit road.
I don't remember that.
Huh?
I don't remember that.
You don't remember that? Robbie Gordon had a race one. It was either at Watkins Glen or Sears Point or something like that. He had the race one, and like 20 laps ago, the camera burnt up, filled the cockpit up with smoke, and he had a pit, and he ended up losing the race because the TV camera burnt up inside the car.
I think he got his money back.
He didn't get the win that day, though.
No, that's why they probably. He would argue you cost me the win in whatever the purse was. So you're at least not charging me for the camera. But it is actually, I mean, if you look at how strategically those all those little logos and stickers are placed, let's talk just NASCAR. And it's been that way for years. I mean, those logos are placed there so you can see it, and the sponsors getting money and airtime.
Well, yeah, I mean, a situation like when McDonald's, or like in Kyle Larson's car, of course, McDonald's is going to pay the $5 to $10 grand or something. Say, yeah, put the camera in there. We're going to put our stickers over in place. But a small team like us at Martin, at Truex Motorsports back in the day, I had no idea, and I didn't have the authority to say yes, but I was the only one standing around there. So I'm like, hell yeah, put that camera in there. I definitely want a camera in our car. I had no idea it costed money.
Oh, geez. Anyway.
But Tim also wants to touch base on what happened at Daytona 500 after the win. I mean, I'm sure everybody saw the video, but how cool was it that Joe Gibbs and members of his race team, including Denny Hamlin, went to the Steaks and Shakes right outside the racetrack, and they bought the trophy in there and everything, and had dinner right at the little local Steak and Shake right outside I think it's right off turns 1. I think it's over that way right before you get back on 195.
No, it's the other way.
Is it the other way?
It's towards the beach, yeah.
Hey, we're talking about a restaurant. Tim knows his way.
Oh, I know. It's right. It's at the intersection. On the other side is the Krispy Kreme. It's right there by the Krispy Kreme.
So it would be off at turn 4 over that way.
Yeah, it's like you'd go out of the track, out of the
Go out of
tunnel
the
on the
tunnel
front
there.
stretch, make a right.
Okay.
Down on the end of where the mall, you go the second mall, like the defunct mall.
Yeah, I'm thinking I might be thinking of Shawnee's or no,
There's a
Bob
Cracker
Evans
Barrel.
or Shawnee's.
Yeah, there's a
I think
Bob
it's a
Evans out
Shawnee's up by the off turn 1 up by the highway, and then there's
There's a
Bob
Hooters
Evans right
out
across
there.
the street.
Yeah.
But it is definitely cool that they went and did that. And here's a little. Me and Nancy always ate dinner or lunch or whatever at one of those restaurants right across the street from the track, and we always ran into someone from the races in there. I mean, one time we had lunch with like all the guys from IROC, and we used to go to Bob Evans, and then you go to Bob Evans, you always see like Randy LaJoy in there because he always had Bob Evans sponsoring him and stuff like that. So you never know who you're going to see. You know,
Well, that's why I brought up. You know, since I've had the kids and going to races as a family, what reminded me of it is how cool it was. Is back in we would go to New Smyrna for every single night. Our little family tradition is the last night of modified racing. We always went to the Denny's on 44.
Mm-hmm.
That's where we went for the last night because the girls liked it there. And a couple of years ago, the twins were still young, so it was a while ago. And we're sitting in the diner. It's like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, and it's full of all the race car people. And I see somebody walk by the window with a trophy in their hand, and they come to the door and they stick the trophy through the door. Well, all you see is the trophy, and it was Woody Pitcat. He had won the modified race that night.
Uh-huh.
And the girls, he came in, the girls thought that was so cool that they're in there with the winner of the race.
Right.
So my point being, how cool would it be, here you are, you spent your yearly savings for vacation from, say you're from Ohio or Kansas or something, and you go to the Daytona 500 and you're sitting in the Steaks and Shakes, probably spending your last 35 hours to get home to eat dinner, and then walks, the winning crew, and I think Denny Hamlin actually showed up, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. Denny Hamlin showed up. Yes.
So how cool would that be for your family? They say NASCAR is great because of our sport. Caters to the fans.
And I definitely see now that they made that big deal out of it, and it was all posted all over the place.
How many people are going to be there next time?
Well, not only that, but I think you're going to see race winners do that more often at every racetrack on the circuit.
I think it's going to be with that right side.
That's what they need to start doing. They got to start hanging out in the more casual spots and not rushing it. And I think another reason why that happened at the Daytona 500, Denny Hamlin does have to stay over that night. The winner of the 500 does have to stay over that night because they bring the race car into the what's that, Daytona USA down there, and they have like a champions breakfast the next morning and stuff. So he wasn't rushing home. And I think a lot of these Cup guys got to stop doing that. They got to stop rushing home as soon as the race is over. They got to start hanging out and meeting with the fans and going to the local places like that and running into people like that.
Well, that's going to fit in with them opening the garages or the paddock.
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
So I think that may play into that whole thing. So wait, let me get this straight though. So Denny Hamlin showed up at a Steak and Shake, but not Denny's.
Do you ever eat a Steak and Shake, Josh? They are the best. Whenever I go to Florida, I eat at Steak and Shakes.
I don't.
Never, if you ever see a Steak and Shake when
Where
you're out.
Where are they?
They're all down south, but there is one in South Jersey, like by Cherry Hill or something. That's the only one around here.
Well, actually, Scott, we mentioned, or you mentioned Bob Evans before. Wasn't there a Bob Evans on like Route 73 out near somewhere past? I think it was past the Cracker Barrel.
There might have been, but Bob Evans, they're really good too. Me and Nancy have a rule: whenever we go away, we won't eat at a restaurant that we can eat at home. We always try different ones.
So no Applebee's.
There's Bob Evans on Route 36 in Middletown, I think.
Oh, was there one up there?
Yeah.
And Bob Evans, we like Bob Evans. We like Shawnee's. And another one is Steaks and Shakes, man. And it's called Steaks and Shakes because you can get a burger like a patty melt burger. And what makes them different is their hamburgers aren't made from ground beef. They're made from like ground steak meat, steak meat. Yeah, and that's and Josh, and it's cheap, man. You can go in there and eat. Me and Nancy can go in there and eat a big dinner and even have dessert, and it's like $18.
Wow.
You got to be careful. They like to put chili on everything in there. They got to be careful.
Do they? It's very similar to a Friendly's, Josh, but the food's a little bit better than Friendly's.
Do they serve alcohol or no?
I think one we went into did, but mainly no. It's like a friendlies, you know.
Okay. No, I was just
Yeah,
curious.
yeah.
Beer certainly gets me in the door.
Yeah, but they're famous for their shakes, right, Tim? And their
Yeah.
shakes are
Yeah, the shakes are good.
steaks and shakes, and
I've only eaten that one once or twice. I'm more of a when I go to a place like Florida, like I like to go to like the local places, not
oh
so
yeah.
much the chain place. But my point, what do you think? Do you think they called ahead and told steaks and shakes that listen, we're
I
coming?
don't think they called ahead. I think they sent somebody over there from the team. They probably sent somebody over and say, "Listen, we got Gibbs coming in. We need 3, 4 tables, whatever it is." You know what I'm saying?
They had to make sure it
And
was crowded too.
yeah, and I'm sure it was a few hours after the race was over, so I'm sure the crowd did die down. There was a lot of people in there though, but I'm sure they sent somebody from the team over and said, "Listen, hey, we got 30 people coming over. We need a few tables." And then when they got the tables all ready, they called Gibbs and said, "All right, we're ready for you. Bring the trophy over." You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But that's cool for the local store owner too. It gives them a little extra business. And like I said, next time a Gibbs car wins the 500, that place is going to be packed.
And we got a little ahead on ourselves, but that's the reason they did it. I guess when they won their very first Daytona 500, I think with Dale Jarrett driving, they wanted the steaks and shakes across the street. So I guess they just had an idea real quick, say, "Oh man, we should celebrate like we did our first time we won a 500. Let's go eat over."
But it's not a sponsor thing.
No, and there's no tie in it whatsoever. It was just because when they won their first 500, 20 years ago with Dale Jarrett or whatever, for some reason they just went to dinner at Steak and Shake, and this time I guess Coach Gibbs had an idea and said, the first time we won a 500, we had dinner at the Steak and Shake. Let's do that again.
That's pretty cool. Scott, where do you go after a win?
We do have a little bit of a tradition. We haven't done it in a while, but one thing me and my brother and the Bluets like to do after a win, we're known for ordering fried chicken. We would collect you and order like 100 pieces of fried chicken and have it delivered to the track, and then everybody in the pits eats it. It's pretty cool. It's kind of hard to do nowadays because we get done so late and people just rush out of there.
Yeah.
But with Jimmy, with the modifieds run first, you have time to order. But with the factory stocks, we always run last. I did do it a couple years ago because for some reason they ran the factory stocks first, and I ended up winning. So I said, "This is a perfect night to order the chicken." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that is one tradition we like to have, and that was really started by Don Ling back in the days. I remember that as a kid.
That's like people like, how did you become such good friends with John Blue III? I go, because when his dad used to win races at New Egypt Speedway, Grandpa would buy chicken, and we started hanging out with John because of the chicken.
Well,
yeah,
that's why
that
you
was a
gotta
big thing.
Sorry, Scott. I was gonna say that's why you gotta hang near Bill Stockert because he
Oh,
always
that
has
guy always food, yeah. But yeah, that was just something I copied from Don Ling in the Bluets. Like Tim said, when we were kids, we'd come in the pits after the races, and when they won, they have big trays of chicken. They would order 100 pieces of chicken. So I did that a couple of times. We would call Cluck You Chicken right there in Wall Township, and they would deliver it over, and everybody would stand around and eat chicken. It's actually a pretty good time. Another place I go to after the races is the Ark.
Yep.
Tony Bartone that races the factory stock division. He owns the Ark, and we go there a lot. And sometimes I do bring the trophy, but to tell you the truth, I'm kind of embarrassed walking into a bar carrying a big trophy. But there's times I'm like, what, I'm bringing it in. And then there's other times like, leave that damn thing in the truck. You carry that trophy into the bar.
I can see like your first win definitely. But
yeah.
But I've actually I've run into you and Nancy at the Ark as well because my friend Craig will be playing there, doing music and all that, and so it's a fun time, and we'll get a bunch of drivers over there and have a good time.
And that's another great question to ask people that we get on the shows, because I always like hearing that too, even with the fans. Like, where everybody has a ritual, everybody has a place they stop on the way to the track, and they have a place they stop after the races. And I love hearing those stories. Like, you always hear the guy, you always hear people, "Oh, we stop at the circus drive-in and we eat clams, and then we get a basket of shrimp to bring to the track with us." You know what I'm saying? And then everybody, on the way home, we stop at the Rainbow Diner, we stop here. Like, everybody has their spot. It's pretty cool.
It's local. Like back, Wall Stadium's right by Farmingdale. It's kind of gone full circle. It used to be Mulligan's, and then it was Lon's for a while, or the edge of town, and then it went to Tom's. Everybody was going to Tom's, and then back in those days,
a lot of people
the cabin. And then back in those days, a lot of people would go eat at the Golden Bell Diner. Way back in the day,
Right.
It was the only place around, and now everybody seems to go to Woody's mostly.
Right.
Well, it is right there. Parking is a nightmare. I'll say that.
Plus, it's what bars sponsor the track too. You know, I mean, Woody's always has like a big advertisement in the wall review and the program, and they sponsor races and they sponsor cars. So you know, people go there. I mean, another one's Pete and Elda's. A lot of people go over to Pete and Elda's too
Yep.
because George Andretti sponsors a lot of race cars over there. And it's another one. You know, but for some reason, restaurants and bars always goes hand in hand with racing. Like there's always been bars sponsoring race cars, and there's always been race car people stopping at bars. You know, it just works. You know,
I'm gonna start going to the River Rock more often though, because
yeah, like you said, we got the
pretty
River
damn
Rock.
good.
But not putting the River Rock down. Thank God they sponsor race cars. But we did go to the River Rock after a Saturday night, and it's like a club.
Oh yeah, it's a different atmosphere.
It's like it's a big dance club. It was a little hard getting food after the races, you know.
Yeah.
So
I think maybe more of a Sunday kind of thing.
yeah, that's like a shore bar, you know. So they get a lot. It's like a party scene in there, you know, which is good for some people. There was people in there from the races, you know.
Old school New Egypt. We used to go to Cassville Inn.
Yeah, the Cassville. You know.
When did this turn into a victory lap?
What's that?
When did this turn into a victory lap? We're all talking about where to go out.
But you're all right there. You know, we always ask people their favorite track food, but another thing we can ask them is where they go after the races. You know?
I think it's a good question, and it ties into the local stuff. Really,
frankly, sometimes I'm so tired or pissed off about something, we just stop and grab something at Wawa and come home. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, don't knock Wawa.
Lately, we do go to the Ark, but lately, me and Nancy, because we have our camper over at Timberland Lake Campground over in Jackson. A lot of times, we just leave the racetrack and go back to our camper. You know, which is fun too. So
is there room for the race car there?
What's that?
Is there room for the race cars there?
Oh yeah, I bring the race car right there with the truck, trailer, everything.
Wow.
And every morning we wake up, there's kids looking at the race car because I tow with an open trailer.
The people that own that place are racers.
Yeah, they go to the races. They sponsor our car. There's room right at my camper. I park the truck and trailer right there, and every morning I wake up, there's family standing next to it taking pictures. I come outside the camper and let the kids sit in the car and stuff like that. You know,
I picture Scott walking out in just his boxers, going, "Oh, what are you kids doing?"
Not me, but we worked out one morning. The kids were in their pajamas, and the father was in his boxers, like sitting on my race car and stuff like that. You know?
Oh my goodness! I'm surprised it's not in the 609. But no, that's really awesome though. And Scott, I know you mentioned that it's an open car trailer, and I have the same. Most of the factory stock guys do, and I think that's one of the best things for the sport is to let people see the cars as they're going down the highway. And we got to find those some of those "Follow Me to Wall Stadium" bumper stickers or something.
Right. I was behind a pickup truck the other day, and it had a Wall Stadium sticker on that I never saw. They must have sold them this year at the track, and I never saw them. But it was a really fancy, cool-looking Wall Stadium Speedway bumper sticker. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I actually, I was at work. I was going from one spot to another. I was heading down 195, past Brian O'Shea, and followed him to his shop to just hang out and talk for a few minutes. But yeah, I only knew it was. I only found out it was him because there was a little pink 27 on the rear window.
Right.
But it's just funny how many people you see. There's that midlife crisis truck that's always sitting in near the bathrooms in the pits.
That's Bruce's truck.
Yeah. I've seen him heading down. I'll pass him.
He lives that way. He lives in Beechwood.
Yeah. So,
as a matter of fact, I seen his truck parked at there's like a restaurant across the street from Blackbeard's. I saw his truck parked there the other morning. That's Bruce's. Big Bruce's. Tim knows Bruce from back in the demolition derby days, the USA 7. That's it. And Bruce still does the tires at Wall Stadium. He does the mounting of the race tires.
Okay,
and
yeah.
Race tires.
Speaking about which, Blackbeard's is now closed, correct?
Just the arcade is closed. Not like the go-karts and the rides and stuff are still going to be open for the season. Just the indoor arcade section closed.
Right down Route 9 in the Bayville area. I just want to touch base too.
Yes.
Another historic landmark in New Jersey. Me and Tim remember this as we were kids. Was the dinosaur in Bayville? There was a dinosaur right on Route 9. I think it was like a carpet store or something, wasn't it, Tim? That they sold.
Originally, if I remember right, when I read the article, there was an article about it. Weird New Jersey. You can probably go on WeirdNewJersey.com and search the dinosaur. I believe it was originally a taxidermy place.
Okay.
And he had the dinosaur made for his business. And then it's been every store in the world since then.
It's right on Route 9. It's on the southbound side. They've had a dinosaur there since me and Tim were kids. My parents actually had friends that lived in Bayville, so that was the highlight of traveling to see my parents' friends when we were young kids, that we would pass the dinosaur. Well, over the years, the dinosaur, was made of concrete and deteriorated and broke, and
I
the
think
head
somebody
fell
like
off.
broke the head off, or somebody
They broke
stole
the head
it.
off. Then they were trying to repair it and fix it, and
They
then
did
it was
like a
gone.
paper mache.
All of a sudden, it was gone. All of a sudden, it was gone. So we lost a historic landmark in New Jersey, and it was gone. And I drove by there a couple of weeks ago, towing a car down there, and there's a brand new dinosaur on that platform. I'm like, whoa, that's really cool. So
It
I think
actually
they raised
is
money on it.
most of the original, and they replastered, redid the whole thing. So I mean,
Oh, really? Because it looked bigger than the original one. You know what I'm saying? It's
I
really
saw
cool.
it the other day. It does look a little bigger.
I think
But
the head's proper this time, as opposed to that.
It
Yeah.
might be. It might be because it's a different color.
Mhm.
Before it was like the same color as the building. Like
Yeah, it was
whenever they painted the building, they must have painted the dinosaur so it blended in a little bit. It stands out a little bit more now.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things too. I like driving by because in the holidays they decorate it. Like sometimes it's got a Santa Claus hat on it, and sometimes it's got a pumpkin in its mouth for Halloween, or it's got like a heart on his head for Valentine's Day and stuff like that. So
And
it's
then you
good to
got
see that landmark's back.
the champagne bottles out that way too.
Yeah, there's also a big champagne bottle, and that's by Ace Power.
I actually
That's those
googled that the other day after we were talking about it. There was originally 80 of those.
Oh, the champagne bottles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's 3 left.
Oh, that's
in
like
water.
the big lumberjack guys, and they had that one.
Yeah,
by six
there's a
flag.
few of them too.
Muffler men, they call them.
Okay, yeah. Anyway, so let's get back to Atlanta before we go too far off track. Now, a lot of people were complaining about the new aero package, and say people just said that racing was boring. Honestly, I'm gonna go right through my opinions real quick. The Xfinity race was okay. The cars were loose, but it wasn't great. The truck race was pretty exciting, I thought, and the Cup race really wasn't that bad. I mean, the cars were all over. There was passing going on all the time. They weren't just single file. I enjoyed it, and I see all these people just saying, "Oh, it was boring. It was stupid. It was dumb." I don't. Did you guys watch any? Tim, I know you weren't thrilled with the Xfinity race, but
Yeah, we were talking back and forth via text. Like I was telling you then, first of all, Kyle Busch had no trouble coming from the back of the truck race twice to get back up to the front.
that
the
was
aero
kind of
package-
fun to watch.
The aero package you can pass with the aero package.
Mhm.
He proved that. But like I said the other day, people might disagree or agree with this, is I think the truck races and the Xfinity races are boring because they don't let the Cup drivers drive in them anymore. And it's not exciting. It's just all these kids riding around holding on. They got nobody to learn from. They got nobody to race with. It's the Cup guys make all the excitement.
Yeah,
think
I
that's why
agree.
they bored.
I agree. It's missing its star power.
I don't
And
know.
it shows in the grandstands. The grandstands were practically empty for these support
Well-
races because they're missing the big names.
I think the weather played a bit too, because you could hardly see the cars on the backstretch with that fog.
That was crazy, wasn't it? I can't believe they were racing on that track.
You couldn't see the Ferris wheel. I mean, you could
Thank
barely
God.
see with these.
That's a question for you. Does that Ferris wheel go from track to track now?
I'm starting to think so.
I think it is. I think they load that up with everything else and they bring it with them. And there's never anybody on. Nothing doesn't even turn. It just got the lights on.
It's the Ferris wheel hauler. That's.
It's a
Well, if it shows up at Dover, we'll know it goes to all the races.
Are you going to go and ride on it?
Yeah. I don't like Ferris wheels.
No.
Nah.
I'm sure Eric Brennan loves them. They go with hot dogs and balloons. He just loves fairs. I think that's what it is. But yeah, so that fog, the mist. I mean, I actually thought it was raining several times just because.
I know
of
they showed the
condensation on
camera a couple of times, and the camera was soaked, man.
Ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. But they were racing it, and then they were so close to being done with the truck race. I think it was 10 laps to go, 9 laps to go, and they red flagged it because the track got too damp during a caution. After I don't know how many trucks got torn up. You basically had the big one as they went through the grass.
And you have to commend NASCAR because they could have simply just thrown the checker flag and been done with the race, and everybody would have understood. But no, they wanted to finish the race and put a show on for what fans were there, and they went back to green and got those last few laps in.
Yeah, I mean, part of me was almost like, yeah, just call it and be done. But no, I'm glad that they, in the true spirit of competition, tried to actually treat it properly, like a big race, and ended it under green. Um, and I mean, yeah, I know it was kind of the Kyle Busch show and all that, but I did enjoy watching him like fly by 6 cars on the backstretch. I was like, how is that even possible? Is it him? Is it the setup? Is it the car? You know, the whole thing. I thought the truck race was by far the most exciting. And then the other thing that the announcers mentioned was after that big wreck and how much grass got torn up and all the. Did you see them shoveling the dirt off of the track?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but we've touched on that topic many times. We think there should be no grass next to a racing surface. It's time to pave everything. Because look at poor Chad Finley. His truck got destroyed just because he went through the grass. You know, if that was asphalt, he would have spun around a few times and kept going. The it's really the grass is really starting to get dangerous. You know, I think it's got to be a thing of the past and earlier, and they just got to pave everything.
And apparently, the way the splitter is on the trucks, it's even more dangerous on the trucks
Right.
because they said that they're actually talking about doing away with the splitter on the truck
And just
take
going
it
to a
off.
valence, yes. That's what
Yeah.
I was going to ask. Do you think that at least for the trucks, Scott, maybe we should get rid of the splitter?
Yeah, the splitter's no good.
Okay,
It just
I agree.
it just digs in like a shovel. I mean, Chad Finley almost flipped over just by going through the grass to miss a wreck. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I agree with you that they really need to eliminate the grass, and I'm sure there's going to be some issues and permits and everything that are required for that. But yeah, it would be better if the cars could not get destroyed just because they avoided a wreck or because they spun out. Although you would have to then make some type of a similar yellow line rule, like you can't race below this. I mean,
Right.
something like that. That should be an easy enough fix. I think that's just a one line in the rule book and some paint.
Or turtles. Those little bumps they call turtles.
Those things are terrible. Oh my God, have you ever hit one in a go kart?
Yeah.
Oh man, you think you're going over? Those things are violent. I've actually seen one that came apart, and the metal post that goes into the ground to kind of keep it in that spot nearly ripped the guy's go kart chassis apart. It was violent. That's all I'm going to say. But I think the truck race was the best race of the weekend. But really, the cup race was not that bad. I actually had my dad come down and we hung out and watched the race. And
So you weren't working on your car Sunday while the race was on?
I'm terrible at working on my car. I'm going to get around to it eventually. But yeah, I wanted just a day to hang out. I was doing a lot of other stuff and work on the house. And yeah, but I am going to hopefully get around to getting my car ready. I know. Actually, I want to mention our condolences to Timmy Steffen. His brother passed away. I know he's got a line of people waiting to have their cars done and everything. So it's a tough time for him. I don't know him personally. I think I met him like once.
Yeah, his name was John, right? John Steffen?
Yes.
Yeah, he did race back in the day. He raced a few times. He had a modified with Timmy.
Yeah, Timmy Steffen's been great. I mean, everybody goes to him. He's got that frame machine. I mean, he's been big with helping out everybody at the track, really. So I'm looking to get my car over there at some point and see if that can be worked on. And I'm going to freshen up my motor because I can't afford to go to a motor builder. And I'm going to try to get out there. I'm going to have to get some setup tips from Scott and see if I can finish the race. So
Before we get off the Cup weekend or the whole weekend, Josh, I know you wanted to touch base a little bit on Jimmy Johnson being in the booth there.
Yeah,
is that a first step in retirement to become a color commentator, or is it just?
I think it was a trial to see if he could do it. Now, I will say, I know a lot of people are complaining about it. I think he'll be fine as an analyst, and I don't think that he should necessarily be removed from that position. Whether or not it's going to be retirement, he's probably leaning towards the end of his career. I think it's that time. He's won 7 championships. He's not doing all that well right now. I'm not saying that he should give up because of that. I'm just saying that that's this current situation. Maybe give it another year or two. But in my opinion, him and Chad Knaus have always been very well. I mean, we say open. I'm sure that they've been, they've been caught with things like telling him to do a burnout and back it into the wall so they can get through inspection and things like that. I'm not saying that they've never cheated. Uh, I'm just saying that they've always been very well spoken and very accommodating to interviews and things like that. Always willing to talk, and I think that that translates well. He's willing to talk. He's willing to be there and be involved, and he's been good at talking. So I think that there will be a home for him doing that kind of work. Uh, should it be? It shouldn't be play by play. It should be some type of analyst work. It should be something. Everybody loves that Dale Jr.'s doing it. Why can't they love Jimmy Johnson doing it? Because I don't think he was all that bad. I really don't. I mean, do you want to hear him or Michael Waltrip?
See, we had a discussion the other day too. I think this is my opinion on certain drivers. I think Dale Earnhardt Jr. makes it fun. He's like watching with your buddies. And he knows what he's talking about. I wasn't a Dale Jr. fan on the track, but I think he's doing a better job up in the booth than I thought he was going to do.
I'll agree.
Darrell Waltrip, he does say some stupid stuff sometimes, but the guy, he has the right to be there. He's done enough in the sport. You know what I mean? Michael,
but I think his broadcasting career is coming to an end too.
DW?
Johnson and Harvick and all of them are moving into it because Mike Joy and Darrell Waltrip, they ain't getting any younger. You know what I'm saying?
Mike Joy does an excellent job still. Though.
He still does a great job, but he's getting older too. So how much longer are those guys going to do it?
Well, you're not going to find a driver, I don't think, to replace Mike Joy, because you didn't have a driver replace Ken Squire.
Right. You gotta have the one color commentator, as they call him up there.
Mm-hmm.
He's the flair. He knows what to say, when to say it. You know what I mean? When they come to the checkered flag, he's always got the proper thing to say.
Oh yeah, sponsored by Credit One Bank.
Well, that stuff, yeah.
I know that makes Eric Brennan so happy.
There is one sponsor that bothers me. There's like a medical group or something like that they like sponsor when someone comes out of the infield care center and gets interviewed. I'm like, come on, NASCAR, you don't have to have a sponsor for when you're interviewing a driver coming out of the infield
do I
care
like
center.
that because it has balls, or do I don't?
It's almost getting about that movie, the Ricky Bobby movie, the Talladega Nights movie. They made fun of that where like NASCAR sponsors everything.
Yeah.
Everything has got to have a sponsor. Like the Tums turn at the road course.
Right.
Well, all right. I'm not a fan of the movie, but that is accurate. I mean, and that's how it was for many years. And I think, I don't know. I don't think they're stepping back from it so much, but I think they're being certainly more picky about who sponsors what.
Really quick to get back to Josh, do you think there's too many drivers up in the booth now, or?
I think because Keselowski does it once in a while. This was Jimmy Johnson trying it out. I think just as changing it up and they'll have different drivers, I think it's fine.
Because every driver has another perspective of looking at something, and they have another story to tell or a situation they've been in to tell. So I like that. I wouldn't like to see Jimmy Johnson do 20 races, but if he comes in every once in a while, that's fine. Sometimes Kurt Busch is up there, like you said. Joey Logano.
Yeah.
It's good to have different drivers in there and hearing different opinions about stuff.
Because they normally talk, especially because Darrell Waltrip, did his thing. I mean, he raced for plenty of years, and he has some insight. But he hasn't driven these cars in this aero package and these conditions.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So you need somebody that's a little closer.
Recently, yeah. I didn't think about that. That's a good point, Josh.
I like Michael Waltrip when he does the walk on pit road.
You like that? I hate that, man. Like, shut up, ball.
I wanted Eric Brennan to do that so I could record him doing that and dropping
at Wall Stadium.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, that'd be funny. Yeah, that would be funny.
Everybody would love it, and he's too embarrassed to do it. That's Eric Brennan for you. Where is he, by the way? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, it's 10:15, guys. Let's start wrapping it up here.
Um,
Anything else you want to touch on real quick?
There was a ATQMRI handicap rule that debuted. I need to look more into it because I forgot exactly the details of it. But I do want to get into that because ATQMRA has been working with us. We're trying to work with them, doing cross promoting, I guess we'll call it. They have a great package. I'm going to get more into that hopefully for next week. Um, Scott, I'm going to save that for another show. Um, there was something I wanted to ask you. Um, Real quick, in the open wheel world, I guess we'll call it, Davey Hamilton Jr. was arrested. One of the charges was false imprisonment. Basically, he acted as like a sponsor, I guess, and like you have the Bud Light girls and all that when you go to a bar. He he posed as one of as like a liquor uh, manufacturer and lured his ex girlfriend to be one of those girls. I guess he got into her hotel room and cornered her in the shower with a knife. Um, I mean, look, I've had tough breakups and all, but
Is this allegedly? Or was
he
proven
confessed to
guilty?
posing and setting up the meeting. I don't think I'm not sure he confessed to the knife part or whatever, but he was arrested a few blocks away after fleeing.
When's the last time this guy raced, or does he still race? Or
He was set to run. I forget how many races this year. This is where I need Sam Ballard Jr. To look this stuff up on for me. I had the article up a little while ago, but I mean, he had. I know he was race. He was supposed to race for his dad's team, running for the USAC Silver Crown this year.
okay,
And he.
so he is an active driver then.
Yes, he was a former Indy Lights driver, and he was supposed to run the stadium super trucks as well. And I'm pretty sure he just put that all down the toilet.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say he just committed career suicide.
Yeah, I believe so. And you know what the suckiest thing is? I'm looking at him in a USAC car, and he has a big RPM on the side of it.
Yeah.
So, wow, there
Hey,
goes
Tim,
our
just a quick
show.
observation. Are you drinking a Shamrock Shake?
Who?
You.
No, I got a.
Uh,
It's just a coffee cup, but I got.
it looks like a Shamrock Shake from here. I just saw. I went by McDonald's the other day and I seen that the.
I did.
Shamrock
I've had.
Shakes are back.
I took the girls out the other day. We have had them
Yeah.
since they've been out. Yeah.
Yeah, those days are over for me. I think
The McRib is supposed to come back out.
Oh Jesus, that'll be a big party.
Supposedly the McRib and the Shamrock Shake have never been available together. So like the hubbub is that they're going to be together.
I walked into McDonald's the other day to use the bathroom, and they had a big sign on the door. And you can buy a 50-piece chicken McNugget now for like $9.
Phew.
Is it really chicken?
50-piece chicken McNugget.
Oh my
for
god!
$9.
That better be for a party. Although I'm sure there are people that would eat.
I remember it was a party, but we got 20 pieces, but now they got 50 pieces.
They probably give you 3 sauces with it too.
No, they showed like a little carrier tray. I think you get like 6 or 7 sauces, but yeah, sometimes McDonald's gets real cheap with their sauces.
Speaking of while we're on the food and for our food segment this week, did you ask Dick if he still goes to that place to eat dinner on Route 9?
Yeah, a lot of people know Federici's. What is it? Federici's
Yeah.
is real popular in Freehold and Hal, and there was a Feds right on the southbound side of Route 9 going in by Lakewood, and Dick Barney ate every single meal there, every single one. Well, I drove by there the other day, and the sign was different. It wasn't a Federici's no more, and that Federici's been there for probably 30 years, It's called something else now, and I asked Dick Barney, what happened to your buddy's store over there? Why is it under a new name? He said that the Federici's guy is getting older, wanted to cut back a little bit. His son has a Federici's in Belmar that wasn't doing so hot, so the father opted to sell the pizzeria to the chef that worked there, the chef and some of the waitresses. So it's still the same people over there, just a different name. And that Federici's that was running that, he went over to the Belmore store to help his son. I think the guy's name's Pat.
What, does Dick still go there?
Yeah, I guess he does. Yeah, because it's the same chef and the same food and everything. So really, nothing changed other than the name on the sign.
I've never been there. I'll have to check it out.
You never had Fed's Pizza?
No, I haven't. All right, I'm gonna get
Tim, that's thin crust, right? Tim, like Pete and Aldo's Feds.
Yeah, it's good. More importantly, they have the salad dressing. It comes in a white squirt bottle. It's like the house. It's like the house salad. You got to get it. You put that on everything. You put it on your pizza crust.
If you're ever in Freehold or see a Fed's, Josh tried that. It's kind of like the Pete and Aldo's pizza, like the thin crust pizza, and it's been famous since we were kids in this area.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna get a lot of flack for this, including from you guys. I've never been to Pete and Aldo's.
Really? You never had thin crust pizza at Pete and Aldo's?
I've had thin crust pizza, not from Pete and Aldo's.
Yeah, it's
Pete
like
and Aldo's is a whole different ballgame.
That's why I always tell people it's like eating pizza on a cracker.
The crust of Pete and Aldo's there's no other place like it. It's got its own style crust.
All right, I'll try it. Well, on that note, what have we learned today? I'm going to start with Tim.
I learned Dick Barney still eats at Federici's, even though it's not Federici's anymore.
Okay. Scott, how about you?
I learned that you think the ATQ MRA has a great package.
Oh. All right. Thanks for asking me. Today I learned that Neil is a scumbag, according to Scott.
Neil?
Neil.
Oh yeah, for passing you. Passing. That was just an example. But I have seen it. It is funny when you're leading the race. You're like, that guy just passed the other guy because he was moving down like he was being told. You know, there should be like a rule on that.
Yeah, I'd like to see something there, but whatever. I also learned that Scott was grinding with George Reynolds. I learned that you should not second guess Tim on where to find food. I learned that Denny Hamlin didn't show up at a Denny's. I learned that some people eat clams before going to the track. I learned that Scott loves the Bayville dinosaur, and I learned that McDonald's is cheap with their sauces. So.
I tried to book a guest tonight. Last week, Josh had some technical difficulties with the River Rock thing, and our buddy Scooter, who is our biggest critic, sent us some comments on how we're lacking in the skills of how to run a podcast.
I did it all myself.
I did offer Scooter to come on tonight and show us how to run a podcast. He declined, so I told him I was going to mention that on here.
Oh, jeez. Well, Scooter, feel free to come on and scoot or whatever it is you do.
Any picks who's going to win Vegas? I'm going to go with Kevin Harvick.
I'm going Kyle Busch.
Kyle Busch.
I think there's too much pressure.
The RPM podcast.
Thank you guys for listening. Feel free to check us out: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. I got to get on Sam to put more stuff together. I know he's busy with his girl and all that stuff. So, and I think school. I think that might be a side piece now. Anyway, so thank you guys. Scott, take us out.
All right. Good night, everybody, from the RPM podcast. We'll see you at Wall in the spring.
Go to Wall.
Go to Wall.
Good night.